All right, hello, math fans. All right, we're starting a new chapter, and this is chapter 9A. All right, and what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be working with something called polynomials. So before we even talk about a polynomial, I want to actually define something called a term. A term is the number 5. That's a constant. Okay, so let's kind of label some. Well, we'll label them later here, but that's 5 is a term, 2x is a term, 3x cubed is a term, 105x to the 17th power. Each one of those represents a term. You can have negative terms, negative 8, negative 7x to the 5th. Okay, so those are all terms. And then a polynomial is basically one or more terms added or subtracted together. Okay, so polynomial would be, 2x plus 3, negative 7x to the 9th minus 5x squared plus 2. Okay, those are all polynomials. And so let's actually talk about. You need to make 4 columns. If you're taking notes here, you need to make 4 columns. Okay, and leave enough room below because we're going to have several examples here. So you're going to have the polynomial. Okay, another definition of a polynomial, as opposed to one or more terms, is an empty birdcage. You get that? It's a polynomial, right? Nomial for the poly for the bird. Yeah, okay. Anyway, it's a polynomial. Degree, classify by degree, and classify by number of terms. Okay, so 4 columns here. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write down the number 5. That's a polynomial, as we already talked, right? It's one term. Okay, this is the deal. The degree is you basically look at the exponent of the variable. So in parentheses here, it's the exponent of the variable. Now you're like, wait a second. Oh, kind of move down here a little bit. You're like, wait a second. There is no variable. Exactly. This is kind of like, and just to put in parentheses, it's like saying 5x to the 0. And remember, anything to the 0 power is 1. Okay, so it's like saying 5 times 1. So this degree is 0. Now, you don't necessarily have to write that out at x to the 0, but what you do need to remember is if it's just a number, the degree is 0. Okay, classify by degree. If the degree is 0, it's called a constant. Which kind of makes sense because we have variables, which means it varies. Like x is a variable. I can give it any number I want, but if I give you the number 5, 5 is just 5. That's why it's constant. It'll never change. So the classifying by degree is called constant. Classify by number of terms. Okay, it's monomial. Oops, it's M-O-N-O-M-I-A-L, monomial. Okay, mono meaning one. So it's one term. So basically you just classify by number of terms, you just count the terms. And remember, it's separated by a plus or a minus. That's how you know the number of terms. Okay? All right. Let's try another one here. 2x. Okay, that degree, now that's an exponent of 1. So that degree is 1. And we classify that by saying that is linear. Okay, and if you guys remember back in the day, when we graphed a line, it was always like y equals 2x plus 3. Okay, and that was a straight line. All right, and this is also one term, so it is also a monomial. Okay, next example, 3x plus 1. Okay, again, what we're going to do now, this is two terms, so you want to look at the exponent of the variable, and you want to look at I'm going to write it down here, the largest exponent of any variable. Okay, the largest exponent of any variable. So we have a 1 here, but we also have a 3. Well, the 3x to the first, that's the highest exponent, so that's degree 1. So that's also linear. And now there are two terms. Okay, so if it's mono means 1, bi means 2. So it is a binomial. All right, then let's do 2x squared plus 5x minus 1. Okay, classified by degree. Well, look at the highest exponent. You have a 1, you have a 5x. It's a negative 1 actually, and a 5x, and a 2x squared. 2 is the degree. It's the highest exponent. And we actually just got done with that chapter, right? What formula did we learn? We learned the quadratic formula, so this is referred to as a quadratic. And this has three terms. So if mono means 1, bi means 2, like a bicycle, well, of course, you have a tricycle, so it's tri. So this is a trinomial. Okay, that's pretty easy. So let's do another one. 3x cubed plus 5x. Okay, the degree is 3. It's the highest exponent. And we call this cubic. Because we've even seen it before, right? A cube, x cubed, is x to the third power. So this is called a cubic. And this has two terms. So it's a binomial. Okay, another example. 2x to the fourth plus 3x cubed minus 2x squared plus 1. Okay, the degree of this one is 4. It's the biggest exponent. And it's this one you haven't seen before, but this one is called quartic because there are 4 quarters in a dollar or 4 quarts in a gallon. Quart, so 4. So it's quartic. And if there are more than 3 terms, so this is more than 3 terms, we just call this a polynomial. Now technically, math fans, these are all polynomials. That's important. They're all polynomials. Just like if I would say we're all human beings, that's a generic term. But if I said we have some men and we have some women, that's a more specific term. Well, these are all polynomials, but if it happens to be a 1 term, it's a monomial. If it happens to be 2 terms, it's binomial. If it happens to be 3 terms, it's a trinomial. And if it's more than 3 terms, there is no specific name for that, so we just call it a polynomial. All right, so all these are polynomials, but I will always ask for the most specific name. Monomial, binomial, trinomial, more than 3 terms, they'll tell me polynomial. Okay, so that's kind of every type of problem here. Let's try another one here. 2x squared minus 4. Yeah, minus 4. Okay, so the degree is 2 because of that 2 right there. It's a quadratic. And it's a binomial. All right, so that's what I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you for the degree, which is just a number. To classify by degree, you're going to have to know basically 3 things. You're going to have to know constant, linear, quadratic, cubic, and quartic. So that's degree 0 is constant, degree 1 is linear, degree 2 is quadratic, degree 3 is cubic, and degree 4 is quartic. And then you just look at the number of terms. So it's either going to be 1 term as a monomial, 2 terms as a binomial, 3 terms as a trinomial. Anything more than 3 terms is a polynomial. All right, so that's what you need to know for those. All right, so let's talk about a few more things here. Okay, let me just give you an example. 5x cubed plus 2x squared minus 3x plus 7. Okay, a couple things. First of all, this is called descending order. and it's the largest exponent all the way down to the smallest. And sometimes that smallest can be a constant. So don't get fooled by that. It has nothing to do with the number in front. It's strictly the exponent. So like this one's got a 3, a 2, this is really a 1, and this is, remember, it's like saying x to the 0. So that's why that's in that order. 5x cubed plus 2x squared minus 3x plus 7. Alright? So what I'm going to do is, for every answer that you give me, it's always going to be in descending order. That's really important. Alright? Always going to be in descending order. If it's not in descending order, you're going to actually lose a point for that. So it has to be in the correct order. So let's do a couple examples where you have to actually put it in the correct order. Alright, so if I give you 3x squared minus x cubed plus 7. Okay, the thing you also have to remember is that that negative belongs to that x cubed. So make sure anything before, any sign before it always belongs to the term after it. So I want to put it in descending order from largest exponent to smallest. So it's going to be negative x cubed plus 3x squared plus 7. That's it. Okay, it's pretty easy. Here, so let's do another one. 1 minus 3x squared minus 2x to the 5th plus 5x cubed. Okay, so we're going to put this guy here first, negative 2x to the 5th. The next one is going to be plus 5x cubed. The next one is going to be minus 3x squared. And then we still have a 1 here, so don't forget that. So it's plus 1. And that's it in descending order. All right. What else here? So let's delete this, and let's write another problem out here. If I said, let's put something in descending order. 8x cubed plus 9x squared minus 7x plus 1. Okay, this number right here, after it's in descending order, that's important. You have to put it in descending order first. So after it's in descending order, the first number in front of the variable is called the leading coefficient. Okay, first of all, I guess I should have explained this first. If I said just 8x cubed, this is called the coefficient. Okay, 8 is called the coefficient. So the number in front of the variable, it's number in front of the variable. That's called the coefficient. So negative 18x to the 10th, negative 18 is your coefficient. The leading coefficient, that's the one I was talking about. The leading coefficient is the one that comes first. So that one is 8 for that problem. Okay, but that has to be in descending order first. So, for example, if I gave you, negative 2x squared plus 5x minus 4x cubed, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to say, okay, descending order, negative 4x cubed minus 2x squared plus 5x. It is in descending order. My leading coefficient is equal to negative 4. Very simple. All right, so I can ask you a bunch of different things. So actually, let's try a couple problems here where I actually ask you to do everything we've learned so far. All right, so here's the problem. Negative 2 minus 3x cubed plus 5x. And I ask you to put it in descending order, tell me the leading coefficient, tell me the degree, classify by degree, and classify by number of terms. So the first thing is descending order, and that's going to be negative 3x cubed plus 5x minus 2. Okay, the leading coefficient is equal to negative 3. It's pretty easy. The degree is 3. That's that 3 and that's the exponent. Degree is 3. Classify by degree. That means it's going to be a cubic. And classify by number of terms. And that's going to be a trinomial. Okay? That's what I'm going to ask you to do with a lot of these problems, is to just come up with that information. So let's do one more. Just do it on this side here. Negative 7x plus 5x to the fourth. Okay, so descending order. 5x to the fourth minus 7x. Leading coefficient is 5. Degree is 4. That's the x to the fourth. And that's going to be quartic. And by number of terms, classify by number of terms. That's 2. It's got 2 terms, so it's a binomial. Okay, so that's that first part. Okay, the second part is adding and subtracting polynomials. So it's add and subtract polynomials. So this is, we've already talked about this, but you can only add and subtract like terms. That's important. And remember what a like term is. Like term has 2 parts. It has the same letter or variable, and it has the same exponent. That's the only way you can add them together, that you have to have both. So if I have like 3x cubed plus 5x cubed, remember that's, if I have 3x cubes in my hand and I give you 5 more, you have 8x cubes. You don't write 8x to the 6th. That's bad. Okay, you don't have any x to the 6th here. You have only x cubes. And it's the same thing. You can't add terms like this. If I had 2x squared plus 5x to the 4th, you can't add them together. So please don't tell me it's 7x to the 6th. Okay, that's like really, really bad. That's actually it's as simplified as you can get. All right, so that's just an important thing to understand before we even start adding and subtracting polynomials. All right, so let's actually do one of these. Some real basic ones. If I have 3x plus 5 plus 7x minus 2. Okay, so 2 sets of parentheses here, because we've already added like terms together, but now they're going to be in groups in parentheses here, which actually is not a big deal. That just means if you have 2 sets of parentheses, you're going to get rid of the parentheses, okay, which is just going to be 3x plus 5 plus 7x minus 2. All right, so I just got rid of the parentheses because it was plus. Plus is actually the easiest one out of all of them. And then you just add them together. So you combine the like terms. So 3x and 7x, we get 10x. And 5 minus 2 is plus 3, and that's your answer. That's pretty easy schmeezy. Okay, so let's try a little bit tougher one. 2x squared minus 7x plus 4 plus negative 7x squared minus 2x minus 3. Alright, so there's a plus there. You basically just get rid of the plus. And our new problem is just 2x squared minus 7x plus 4 minus 7x squared minus 2x minus 3. And then we combine like terms. So 2x squared minus 7x squared is negative 5x squared. So that takes care of those. Negative 7x minus 2x is negative 9x. So that takes care of those. And 4 minus 3 is positive 1. And that's your answer. Okay, so sometimes I've taught my students in the past, to circle the term that belongs with the sign. So it's 2x squared, negative 7x, positive 4, negative 7x squared, negative 2x, negative 3. Because that kind of helps a little bit to link the sign with the number. Because what happens a lot of times is people kind of forget that sign and they don't carry that down. So that's very bad. It's very sad. Okay? Alright, so that's addition. Let's do a subtraction problem. 2x minus 7 minus 4x minus 8. So the only difference now is that negative gets distributed to each of those terms. It's almost like saying negative 1 times each of those terms. Now, there's kind of an easy way to look at it. Basically, what you do is you're just changing the sign of everything in here. So you want to change the sign. That's all you're doing. So I'm going to have, instead of 4x, I'm going to have negative 4x. Instead of negative 8, I'm going to have positive 8. And that's my new problem. Okay, that's pretty easy. So I get, in here, I remember I told you about circling. Sometimes it helps. So 2x minus 4x is negative 2x. Negative 7 plus 8 is plus 1. And that's it. Negative 2x plus 1. Okay? It's not too bad. Okay, so let's try a little bit more aggressive one here. 3x squared minus 8x minus 4 minus 7x squared minus 6x plus 8. So before I start the problem out, I'm just going to change the sign or distribute that negative, but I'm going to change, it's just like I said, change the sign. So you get 3x squared minus 8x minus 4. That one you just rewrite, and then it's minus 7x squared, and then negative, so you change the sign, so it's plus 6x, and instead of a positive 8, it's negative 8. And then you combine like terms. So again, I think it's helpful if you circle it, because then I go, oh, 3x squared and negative 7x squared. So 3 minus 7 is negative 4x squared. So that takes care of those. Negative 8x plus 6x is negative 2x. Negative 8 plus 6 is negative 2. And then negative 4 minus 8 is negative 12. And that is your final answer. All right, so that's adding and subtracting polynomials. And again, you can only combine like terms. You know, if I gave you something that had different variables, you couldn't combine it. Something with different exponents, couldn't combine it. So make sure you combine like terms, and when you're subtracting, just change the sign of everything in the second set of parentheses that's touching that negative sign. All right. Anyway, that's it, math fans. Just a lot of introductory stuff here. Is not too bad. We're going to get to some more exciting stuff later on, but that's kind of the deal. All right. Have a good day, math fans. Goodbye.